You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You know what they say? The stars at night are big and bright, unless you live in a city like me, and then you got a big problem with light pollution. It's Monday night. It's 10 p.m. Eastern at 7 p.m. Pacific. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so it must be time for Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
And I am Charlene Schmidt. I also have the light pollution problem because I'm not too far from where you are. Dang it.
Don't we all? It's really, you got to drive far, far, far away. Yeah.
Way far away. Yeah. Yes. Tonight we are talking about the season 3 finale of Lower Decks. So excited. Love this episode. It's episode 10, The Stars at Night. And that means it's time for you to give us a call to join in this conversation. It is bound to be a good time. Here's how you do this. You click on the Zoom meeting link, or you use the one tap from your smartphone, or you can call us 669-900-6833, enter the meeting code, and our esteemed Earl of the Green Room will let you in to chat with us tonight about what is happening with the crew of the Redos. Hey,
and speaking of our crew, great to see you, Shar. Last minute change here on this show and another show we'll talk about here in a moment. Ashley a bit under the weather. We wish her well. And, you know, you've just been such a champion, if I may use that word.
I see what you did there.
See, stepping in and really being a part of the team. So thank you. Greatly appreciate you being here kind of at the last minute.
Thanks for having me be a part of it all. I'm honored, and it's always a pleasure.
You are quite welcome. And speaking of other people who are a part of it all, we are nothing without our audience. And right away, I see some great friends, some lovely faces out there. Scott Palm, how you doing, my friend? There is Paul Harveth, probably another Paul in there somewhere. Oh, yeah, there he is. There's Paul right there.
All right.
Heather, speaking of part of the Mission Log family, Heather Ray, welcome.
Hi.
There is John Cooley, and Cooley giving a note here to everybody. Please vote. Just please vote. You can do it.
Good call.
Everybody, vote. There you go.
If you're in the States,
do the thing. Dave Taylor, Chris Riker. We got Jane Storella. Nice to see you there. Let's see who else we got. Oh, we got Alan, who's coming out for a visit to LA not too long from now.
Ooh.
Can't wait to see you, sir.
All right.
Let's see here. We got Dave, probably another Dave joining us at some point. Of course, is BC over there saying Ala Moraine, because that's what
Hi,
he
Brian.
does. That's what he does. And shout outs to Earl there, of course, because you know that you want to be in the Earl Green Room. All right.
It's true.
Well, you do. Let's talk.
That's where the party's really at.
It really
honestly,
is.
Let's be
I'm
honest.
always jealous. At the end of the show, when we get in there and then Earl says to us, like, oh, there were 10 people. We were hanging out having Hollywood squares. Yeah.
Right. And here we are. We're chatting. Like, we're fine. But the real party is in the Earl Green Room.
It's in the Earl Green Room. Yeah. Look, even if you're not joining the show, which you really should, you should probably just hit the Zoom link and chat with Earl for a minute.
Seriously. And you can do that. You can do
it. You can click the link, do the thing, say hi. All right. Before we get into the recap, very quickly, I want to tell you what is up this week in Mission Log Land. Well, this week on regular Mission Log on Thursday, we will drop our coverage of the Voyager episode Dreadnought. That is this Thursday. And you know, Dreadnought, that's the one where Blana talks to herself for an hour. Feel free, as always, to send us your emails and comments to missionlog@roddenberry.com if you feel inclined to remark on, what we did or did not cover on the episode. Love to hear from you. Always visit youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment. There's a lot happening up over there. So make sure you subscribe, hit the thing, listen out for the thing, watch the thing. You'll hear it all there. We have many shows that actually premiere on YouTube as well. So like Mission Log The Orville, which is in hiatus right now. Mission Log Engage, which Norman and I do every few weeks, get out a daily episode there with your feedback and your comments. And guess what? You already know Mission Log Prodigy is back. Of course.
Yes.
Now, as I teased at the top, since Ashley is under the weather, you have been kind enough to step in with Norm and record an episode with him coming up. Well, the one that drops tomorrow, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's episode and then the following one, episode 13, coming up.
Yeah, excellent. So Let Sleeping Borg Lie, and then the next one, that will be out. And remember, that show drops on YouTube and the audio drop on the same day on Tuesday. So make sure, again, that you follow us, you like, subscribe, share it with all your friends. There is a separate Prodigy playlist, so hope you enjoy that. Follow us at Twitter at ML_Prodigy. Prodigy. And remember, all of our podcasts, all of our contact information, everything is at podcast.roddenberry.com. In fact, just in case you didn't remember any of those. So go to podcast.roddenberry.com.
Just go there.
That's where you get everything.
Get everything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, see, Heather's playing along now, and she's saying second shap. So, she's just following Brian's lead, and I don't know. I'm going to feel ganged up on here.
Oh, no.
All right. So now we might have spoiled it at the top to say that you already love this episode of Lower Decks.
Yeah, I'm just going to show my hand right now and say that I love the way Lower Decks does season finales because they're always good.
They really are. I love it too. I know that the people standing by right now, there's more room though. So if you want to chime in, now's your chance to click on the thing. I'm going to share the recap with you and then we'll get to your comments. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
Let's do this.
Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 10, The Stars at Night. At Douglas Station, the Cerritos is being repaired after taking a pounding from the Breen. The other thing taking a pounding is overall morale, as the Texas-class ships have been celebrated for saving the poor California-class. It's a win for Admiral Buenamigo and his pet AI project, and a slap in the face to Captain Freeman and anyone like her with the Cali-class under their command. The rumors spread fast. In the lower decks, Boimler breaks the news to Tendi and Rutherford that their ship and others like it will be shuttered. Rutherford is actually pretty impressed with the AI code in the Texas-class ships and wants to give it further study. The three commiserate, interrupted by Shax, just as Boimler is doing an impression of the security officer. Ooh. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Mariner is off on an adventure with Petra, stealing an idol out of the hands of Ferengi grave robbers and escaping just in time by transporter back to Petra's ship. They'll take the idol back to a museum where it belongs, which then raises an uncomfortable question about who funds all their adventures. Petra brushes it off while Mariner gets the drinks. Back in Space Dock, Freeman gets an offer she can refuse when Buenamigo offers up command of the Texas-class program, but that's what pushes her over the edge. She concocts a second contact showdown between the two ships, the Cerritos and the Alito, to show that her crew can outperform any AI. The stakes are for all similar ships, and the Cerritos crew scramble, preparing to do their very best. Anticipation is high, and Shax's feelings are still hurt, but the two are off. Cerritos takes the early lead, even with the Alito beaming down pre-made power plant components. At the next stop, the Cerritos loses the edge when Tendi double-checks for life signs on an uninhabited planet, the right protocol, which the Alito completely ignores. On the third stop, the Alito trounces the Cerritos by delivering supplies to a planet which is only phased into our reality for a short time. At Douglas Station, Admiral Buenamigo is victorious. Deflated, the Cerritos crew commiserate. Tendi did her job, upheld Starfleet's directive by making sure there was no life on the planet, something the Alito's AI didn't do. It's a major violation, and Freeman calls Buenamigo to confront him about it. Meanwhile, Rutherford has a breakthrough in studying the Alito's code. It's his. The secret project that the younger version of him was working on, it was all under the direction of Buenamigo. Caught, Buenamigo admits it all to Freeman. He was looking for a way to stay relevant and break through the stagnation of the Admiralty. Now, to cover his tracks, he releases the Alito with independent control and orders it to attack the Cerritos. Unfortunately, some of Rutherford's rebellious code, the part that lives on in Badgie 2, made its way into the Alito. When Buenamigo gives the ship autonomy and gives it an order, the AI turns against him, first destroying the Admiral in his office at the station, then turning its weapons on the rest of the station. It activates two more Texas-class ships, and they wreak havoc on Douglas Station, tearing it apart and killing many inside. The news reaches as far away as Mariner and Petra, while Petra has revealed that her funding comes from none other than Jean-Luc Picard himself. Mariner still feels the call to go help her ex-colleagues of Starfleet. She takes command, and the two set a course for Douglas Station. The battle takes on a new angle as the USS Van Sitters swoops in for defense. She takes heavy damage, and Freeman tries a new tactic to stall, alerting the Alito that Rutherford has the ability to delete its AI code. Sure. And the 3 Texas ships take off in pursuit of the Cerritos away from the station. As the chase continues and as Cerritos takes more damage, the captain is running out of options. And at long last, Shaxs gets his chance though. They should eject the warp core, use it as a mine to take out the drones. He does, and the Cerritos comes to a screeching halt, but on the way, it took out 2 of the Texas-class ships. But the Alito persists, unleashing a volley of weapons fire on the Cerritos, which will surely spell its doom. Until Mariner and Petra and their tiny shuttle show up, causing just a little diversion long enough to welcome the full fleet of California-class ships that Mariner had called along the way. They fire everything they've got toward the Alito, taking down the attacker once and for all. Reassembled at a badly damaged Douglas station, the Cerritos gets a new warp core, and the crew gets their Mariner back. Tendy's performance has been rewarded with a new study buddy, T'Lyn. Shaxs and Boimler have made up, and at last Mariner is back to Starfleet with an apology for her mom and even a request to be trained by Commander Ransom. All's well for the California-class ships, the heroes of the day, but elsewhere in the galaxy, in the Kala system, a tractor beam activates, dragging in random debris, and among it, a screen comes to life with the image of Badgie. The end.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm so glad that I read online somebody said, stay for the credits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise you might miss it.
I might have.
Very important. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Do you have any sort of early odds-on guess? Because the Kala system is where the Pakleds are. But we saw a very green tractor beam. Any speculation, or is it just too early for you to even make a guess?
It is a little early, yes. And I have a hard time believing Badgie's going to want anything to do with the Pakleds because he does not have time for that. So I'm not really sure where our expectations are going to be subverted yet.
Yeah.
I guess we've got a few months to figure it out, and that might be a good thing.
Yep. Good call. Well, let's see what other folks are saying. Let's go over to Chris, who is our first caller tonight. Chris,
hey.
How are you, friend?
Hey, doing good. Glad to be back. Yeah, I mean, I will say if Lower Decks does one thing, it knows how to write a finale. I don't think they've had a bad finale.
Does.
They're 3 for 3. They're batting 1,000. And this it was fantastic. I loved it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm glad to see that where you are, Douglas Station has been refurbished, repaired. Everything looks like nothing's on fire. So, yeah.
That's right. We got all of the decorative ferns back in the hallway. I know you were concerned about that.
Good.
Yes, we're doing okay.
Can I ask the two of you, did this episode have the highest body count yet for Lower Decks?
It might have.
I think so, because I don't know that a whole lot of people died in the season 1 finale with the Pakled battle. Yeah. And I mean, I just think a couple people died last week when the Breen blew up. I saw people getting sucked out, but yeah, a whole station is easily far and away the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot, and it was a lot of Starfleet personnel, and just you kept cutting back to these shots. Things explode, there's fire, and then boom, they're sucked out into space, or blown out into space, I should say. Yeah, you're welcome, all you physicists listening, judging me. What else, Chris? What other highlights or great moments, or what stood out to you in this episode?
Yeah, it's funny. The first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, Bonamigo." It's like, he's a bad guy. I was like, "Oh, that's just heel turn." And I watched it again. And I thought more, and I'm like, "No, actually, the writers are trying to make him a foil to Freeman because they sort of have this pride and their chip on their shoulder about not being as highly valued as they want to be. But Freeman, I think, does it for a love of her crew because she knows her crew can strive and do better. Whereas Bonamigo just wants the clout. So I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of clever. All right, we'll give you that.
I like that they even called out in the episode, Freeman says, she didn't use the word badmiral. I forget the exact line, but she basically calls him out. She's like, you're not one of those, as if it's a known thing in this universe. You're not
Only
one
he
of
is.
those. Yeah.
In fact, he might have made the badmirals look less bad by how bad he was.
Yeah. That was some serious stuff.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So he says that once you reach Admiral, things just really kind of hit this really competitive kind of stalemate and everybody's out. Well, why? What are the means to the end here? What is the goal here? Why? To be the worst Admiral? I don't understand.
By doing something inherently destructive. Yeah.
Just like the most evil thing you can possibly think of, blowing up faces, AI destructive ships. Like, I guess the stakes just keep getting higher and higher. I don't know, man. I don't understand you guys.
I mean, first of all, it does seem like Starfleet needs to revisit the whole Admiral program. Like that's, and there but for the grace of God goes Kirk. Because when we caught him at the beginning of the motion picture, he was like, no, I can't be an Admiral. I need to be a captain on a spaceship. That's why.
He knew.
Yeah, he knew. He could foresee all of this coming. But very interesting, though, that this is something that I like that Lower Decks does well, that, again, not every Star Trek series seems to quite find the sweet spot, which is we introduced Buonamigo a while back. We got to know him a little bit. And then I feel like there was some payoff to his turn and his demise,
Yeah.
Instead of just, he's the one guy tonight. Yeah.
He did get what he deserved. He was destroyed by his own creation. That's fair.
Classic Star Trek form. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you could also say 2001. I can't do that, Dave.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Gave me those thoughts. But also, that is just one of the many really good payoffs in this episode. There is so much good stuff at work here, both in the short term and the long term.
Yeah. Indeed. Chris, any other thoughts tonight?
Yeah, I mean, just talking about payoffs. I mean, the end game portal scene of all the Cali classes. I mean, that in itself is a payoff of here are all these people. Here's Mariner's ex-girlfriend on the Oakland. Here's the Carlsbad from a couple weeks ago. Here's what's his face, the Bolian with his all Bolian ship. Good for him.
The whole roll call, all of them.
The weird parallel universe version of Cerritos. Yes. Like just
it was so good to see them all again. Just one after the other. Like, how big of a deep breath did Jack Quaid have to take to say all of those names in that space of time?
That took him. I want to ask him one day.
Right.
Seriously.
And I did like even the callback to the pilot of the series with that the planet that was the first stop on the race.
Oh, yeah.
I forget their names there, but they're from the pilot episode. Like, how great!
They show up a couple times, like in the background, the little pig people. You see them wander by. I'm like, oh, it's you. You're around. Yeah.
It's good to know they're still kicking it.
That's who they are. Yeah, indeed.
Galadonians.
Caledonians? Galadonians. Okay. Very good. So, there we go. Somebody said that in the chat. Thank you, Michelle. Because Caledonians, I think we met in TNG. So there you go. I remember that. Don't know. Chris, excellent to see you tonight. If you got any parting shots, share them now. If not, we'll jump over to Paul.
Yeah, we can do this for everyone. Very excited that I now have the USS Sherman Oaks, which I think is the closest to me. It's probably the closest to you, John, as well.
Yes.
So everyone call out your favorite Cali class from the roll call.
Look, are we going to get a USS Hollywood? I was having there's a Burbank. Yeah, I got Sherman Oaks to that side.
There's a Burbank and there's a Culver City.
There's a Culver City.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, David Takechi is already calling it for the T-shirt Shokes.
Get that shirt made.
Love that. And be careful, BC will do it.
He will.
As I have my Zizek shirt in my office right now.
I have mine as well.
Yes, nice.
You got to have Zizeks. If you know, you know.
Absolutely. Anaheim was in the list. I loved all of those showing
up.
The
West Covina is the closest for San Gabriel Valley representing. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Chris, a pleasure to see you tonight. Take care, my friend, and we'll see you next time, okay?
All right. See you around.
All right. Good to see you.
All right. Take care. By the way, David in the chat saying, man, I thought that was a road, not a city. Zizix. Look, I'm going with Zizix as it is a road. But if I'm not mistaken, if I learned my Zizix history correctly, it is an area. Definitely not a city. But come on, it's Zizix.
Like, there's nothing there, right?
No. But it's got a sign. I've never actually
taken the exit. I just passed through.
One day I will take that exit and I will disappear into a vortex, never to be seen again, I'm sure.
Oh, no. Do it on the way home from Star Trek Las Vegas, then, not on the way over.
Hey, look, on the way back from Star Trek Vegas, I feel like I almost did disappear into a vortex because
it took this year we were
hours.
In one. It was called construction.
Yeah, it took 13 hours to get home when it should have taken 4.
Insane.
By the way, Brian in the chat says, Zizix, formerly Soda Springs, is an unincorporated community in San Bernardino County. There we go.
All
See,
right.
Our listeners know. They know. And Carlos says, there's a Zizix shirt. Yes, there is. And our very own BC created it. And I'm sure that he or somebody will drop the link into this chat.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that you find out how to get your very own. Cool. Let us jump over to our next caller. He has been waiting patiently there with Tendi. So that's not so bad. You're waiting with Tendi. Company. Paul, good to see you.
Always great to see you too. Shar, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
It's what a fantastic episode. I'm just going to limit it to 3 key points. We're going to start with these ships' names. I mean, the most important ship name that was used. And it's strictly to make sure we get more Lower Decks marketing is the Van Sitters.
I mean,
right.
All right, look, I'm going to share. I had I can't bring it up on this computer. I texted and I already knew the answer, but I was just like, okay, what class of ship do you have now? And he goes, I am your sovereign. Oh, I mean, it's the sovereign. I mean, it's the sovereign class. Like, yeah, so it's already gone to his head. We're pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to bode well for marketing of Lower Decks. I think we're going to see more shorts, more standees. We'll probably have that class, that ship in particular with a name, across the top. Mike is just brilliant in so many ways. I mean, just to support his product, and I'm just like, is this crass marketing or what? It's like, well, of course it is.
There will be in StarTrek.com. The shop will just have a whole section for the Van Sitters and all of its merch.
Earl, it'll be next year's Christmas tree ornament. Of course, yes.
Of course.
That is too funny.
Very good.
But hang on. Before you go to point 2, sorry to interrupt, because we do mention this from time to time. Those ships, like, I feel like every week I'm blown away by how good these things look. And I think it was Mike Mullen when he was here one time, or it might have been in the Discord chat, just saying there's this very fine line because they can achieve so much with animation. There's this fine line from making the hardware look almost too real and look almost too cinematic when you contrast that with the animation style of the characters. But there are shots, particularly of Douglas Station and when the Van Sitters swooped in, you just go, wow, this is cinematic. It's beautiful. You really feel the dimension of those spaces and of those objects. I thought it was knockout.
Good. Sticking with ships for just a little bit, I remember the future ship in Discovery was unique because it was asymmetrical, and we already are seeing an asymmetrical ship with Petra's. So it's sort of the precursor to what we see later in Disco. It was, a subtle point, but it wasn't like it was, square or like a shuttle. It is absolutely asymmetrical with only one warp drive, I think. That was my interpretation. Yeah.
And I really like the choice of colors on those different Cali class ships too. I thought that was like a nice subtle thing there. Very cool. So anyway, onward with point 2.
Point 2, point 2, and we've seen the relatively interesting interaction between Shax and Ta'ana. Did anybody notice that she was carrying around a riding crop?
Yes, I had that in my notes.
Yeah, maybe that's all we say.
I think we leave it there.
Look, we could all put the pieces together. We know about her holodeck simulations. we know those conversations with Shax, and she just, look, you can give her a prop, make it a riding crop. I love that so much. And I love it. This is why I always watch with subtitles, because just catching her saying, like, I didn't spend 7 effing years on an Oberth class ship to get bumped down to medic on a starbase. Like,
oh man.
So great. Yeah.
Brilliantly. Gillian, right?
Gillian Vigman. Yeah.
Yeah, when she was on the first time, like either sometime last year, she was on, and she was just amazing. And now she's just brilliant. We
got to do it again. And
she has got that character just down. Okay, so the last controversial point, not controversial, but one that I'm sure Cherie will chime in on, and I'm very interested in Charlene's level and Mr. Van Sitter's, because Tendi needs a friend. We got to talk about T'Lyn showing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
T'Lyn was one of my favorites when she showed up, when she goes, live long and prosper, sir. She gave that really non-Vulcan kind of deal. Char, we need to know who she's shipping.
Yeah.
Are you shipping them already?
I just inquire. I'm a little too old to worry about shipping, but I'd love to hear the input from the youngsters of the crew here.
You're never too old to ship. Okay.
I can see it happening.
Ask my wife. Yeah. I don't know.
Happy belated birthday, by the way, to Michelle.
Yeah, happy birthday, Michelle.
Yeah. That's a good question. Because I wonder, is Jennifer out of the picture now entirely for Mariner? Because Mariner's back, you think?
I think things might be a little rocky for a while, but I don't know. I want to hold out hope that they're going to make it work just for a little bit longer.
Okay. All right.
They're good for each other.
Okay. But and with the introduction of T'Lyn, do we no longer ship, or is that a misplaced ship of
Tendi Lynn?
Tendi and Rutherford.
No,
Tendi Lynn. That's good.
Tendi Lynn. Yeah.
I shipped.
There you go. I don't know. Rutherford, that's a really good question too. Would he be interested? Would they be able to geek out on science and techie stuff? And would that be a good bonding thing? Or like personality wise, do opposites attract, where Tendi and T'Lyn might actually really be a good item?
Yeah.
Mike, we want to know. Mike,
questions.
Got to have, we just got to know.
Hey, look, if Mike has his way, though, remember, we're only 3 seasons in to an 8-season plan. So, I know. So I hope that's a big arc. And I hope it happens.
We're still in rising action then.
We are.
That's
exactly. By the way, Paul Wright saying he's always like Tendiford. So I do like that.
I love them, but as a platonic friendship. I think it's great to show that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to romantically ship every couple.
It's true. Yep. Very good.
And I think we've pointed out that Boimler is, he's been surrounded by very attractive females in various episodes with zero interest. So we think he's out of the picture. We're not sure what's going on there.
Something else for sure.
I think he wants to be single.
By the way, I need to share this comment. Matthew Kameji says, this is just sort of general comment about the overall story arc here, and tying in a little bit of Picard here too. Now that Q's passed into the great beyond, Badgie will antagonize season 3 Picard. The Strange New Worlds crossover is just a red herring, and the Dominion War didn't actually happen. So there we go. Matthew just bringing it all home.
Matthew should call in. I challenge Matthew to call in is what he should do.
Yeah, I think he should. Yes, he should. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Yes, please share more. I want to subscribe to that newsletter.
Right.
And with that, I'm passing it on to our showman of the year, Alan. And we're not sure if he has songs tonight, but hey, he's got the crew with him, so enjoy.
Find out.
We're not sure, but you and Alan and everybody else is going to have to wait because it's the bottom of the hour and it's time to do just crass. Ugly capitalism at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah. All right. I'll go.
We have to do. All right, man. Take care, Paul. We'll see you next time.
Take care, Paul.
All right. So I called it. It is the bottom of the hour. It is that time to share a few words about Patreon. It has been hopping so much, Shar, and I'm so glad that you're a part of the community that's there. Of course, Norm, Earl, people like Paul, Alan, who you'll see in a moment, Heather, who is in our chat, Paul right now saying, Paul Wright, other Paul, saying Patreon, Discord, and Heather saying it's her favorite part of the show. Well, thank you both.
We have all the Pauls.
We do. Here's the thing. We pitch Patreon because obviously we want to keep the show going and we want to keep the show growing so we can do more cool stuff. And yes, you get early access to our shows. And yes, you get things like swag, like an exclusive Mission Log sticker or coffee cup or t-shirt, depending on your support tier. But honestly, thank you so much to everybody who has made Discord the living, breathing heart and soul of what we do at Mission Log. Social media has gotten nuts, and there's a lot of ugliness, and there's a lot of disruption now in social media spheres. And the beauty of what we do, you might say, some
things have been happening if you're paying attention.
Just a little bit, But the beauty of what we get to do in Discord is have these thoughtful, curated, friendly conversations about any number of topics, particularly with our fandom, but really anything. We just added a Disney channel there the other day, and of course, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of our Epicureanism channel. Come join me there too. And we have been adding live shows exclusively in Discord, which I love.
Yes.
Every Thursday, Norman and I talk about that week's episode of Mission Log with all of you. And when I say live chat, I don't mean texting. I mean, we're there, video, audio, having a conversation. You with us with you. And we've added Twilight Zone to that. We've added Babylon 5. Stargate Sundays is coming back after the run of Prodigy. We've got Orville Chat on Wednesdays. We also have another great one led by Paul Harveth, Con Tiki, where people get to come in and chat about real world meetups, get-togethers, conventions, etc. All right. I've been going on entirely too long about it. My point is, you should join us, and you can join us for as little as $1 a month. Pick the support tier that fits you, and I really hope that we get to see you in Discord, because that conversation is going 24/7, and honestly, it's the best quality conversation that I get to engage in every week, with the exception of this.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
this is pretty good.
Yeah, right.
This is what carries us over from week to week in between the times that we get to do this. Yeah, Can I make a confession about our Discord?
Please.
It's my favorite place on the internet right now. And it has increasingly become more and more a part of my day, but especially with all the disruption in social media and who knows what's going to happen even tomorrow. Discord is sane. And we do have good discussions there. It's everything that social media is not right now. And that's a breath of fresh air. And it's good people. Love all of you. And we are growing like crazy. It's cool to see all this new stuff, to be a part of it. It's just really turned into this thriving community. And it's been so much fun to be a part of it, but to also watch it happen.
Thank you so much for that. I love hearing that. And thank you to everybody who keeps it humming. That means all of you. And you can join us at patreon.com/missionlog. That's your key to get into the Mission Log Discord. By the way, so cool seeing people chime in the chat saying, like people like Heather, agree. She's a big part of that community there. Jane loves the live chats. We're getting a high five from Heather. And it's just, it's awesome. And also a we love you too, Shar. Because that is
I love you too, Heather.
Thank you. Go. All right, so you know what to do. Patreon.com/missionlog. And now on with the show, and on to somebody who does keep things running over there at Discord. One of our moderators, in fact, quite a good guy, and that is Alan, also known as the Meme King. Alan, how you doing tonight?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, we got to keep the Discord in line.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hard job.
Entertained.
It's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. And hey, I mean, what? Where are you going to go for social media content that isn't, run by a crazy person? So,
Well, there you go.
Allegedly.
Crazy good over on our Discord.
Crazy good.
Just say that.
Exactly. So what's happening with you tonight, Alan?
Oh, well, it's, love the the finale. Just a wonderful end to a fantastic season. Love how I think you guys have been talking about it thus far with the other guests, but how everything is sort of tied in together throughout the course of the season. Not just the Buenamigo bits, which, again, I want to say that I called it, but I didn't actually call it, so shame on me. But I mean, I feel like even going back to the glowy dream ball episode, where we find out that the Cerritos lower deckers are kind of aspirational for their contemporaries. I think, if you're a Cali class, when Mariner calls,
you answer.
Yeah,
family sticking together.
Family.
Right.
Like, they might not always get along, but it's that thing where, like, in your family, you can make fun of your brothers and your sisters and your relatives, but if somebody else does it, like the Texas class, you go get them.
Absolutely.
No. Yeah. You don't want
that. They're the the rich kid who's going to shut down your summer camp.
Right.
Yes.
I love that. And maybe it's just my perception, but I also feel like as this show has matured a bit, and they really, like, end of season 1, they just decided to go for it and have a big dramatic story with a dramatic ending. And I think that really paid off. Here we are at the end of season 3, and I feel like they have spent the time laying the groundwork for these big moments that have meaning, that they have, character impact. And they haven't done the things lately that used to drive me nuts with Lower Decks, which is doing the list jokes or doing the joke and then pointing at the joke to make sure that you got it. Even when they do, I feel like there are moments here that made me laugh out loud because they hit it in the right tone. When you see that montage of everybody getting ready for the big mission and you cut to Ransom and he's doing the chair demonstration, it's like, and here's the thing, he doesn't have to call it the Riker maneuver. He does it, all he has to do is say, you command that chair. It's perfect and you get out of the scene and it's great. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think Lower Decks is standing on its own 2 feet this season. That was the big evolution that I'm getting out of this season. Is it still makes a lot of those self-referential jokes to other things in Trek, because of course that's a big part of Lower Decks and we love that. In fact, I'm wearing the Phoenix Titmouse shirt from week 1 from this season. Got to go ride the Phoenix, got to go to Bozeman. And so I completely lost my train of thought here. One moment, hold please.
You gather your thought, but I was going to share a couple of thoughts here from the chat. By the way, we did ask Matthew to call in. He says, I peeked into the Zoom, but I was a touch late. The queue was pretty packed, and I am technically at work. Okay, so no problem. You're off the hook at the moment. David Takechi chimed in saying, they say 3 seasons into a show, it hits the sweet spot. I say this one did, and it's an indication the show will be on for a long time now. 8 seasons, at least, maybe even 10. I hope you're right. I absolutely hope you're right. Yes.
I want the show to go on as long as it possibly can, as long as Mike McMahon wants to do it.
Yeah. And I really like this. Dave Taylor saying, what's great is that the events of Lower Decks has an influence on the rest of Trek. And that's a really cool thing to see, because I feel like before Lower Decks went on the air, there was a lot of this negativity, just thinking like, oh, well, it's the comedy show and it's a cartoon. We can't take it seriously. Then we realized like, oh, wait, but they're doing stories that are driven by character. Yes, it's funny, but they are really staking their claim and saying like, no, we are absolutely 100% in this universe. And it's not just a reference saying Kirk did this thing. It's that we are interacting in spaces of this universe. So I love that. Actually, I had to go up to the timeline on our wall that we've got somewhere, and it has like the dates carved out of when the shows were produced, but then when the shows take place. And it's kind of cool because you see Voyager take place starting at the beginning of the universe because, of course, at one episode they're there, right?
Oh, this is true.
And you see far future episodes into the 31st century where Discovery is, 30th century, 31st, something like that. Right?
Yeah.
But then you've got this little slice of Lower Decks that's just like a handful of years after the end of Voyager. And you go like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We know exactly where we are. Yeah.
That reminds me of what I was thinking, but go ahead, Alan.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's like, it's Lower Decks, then Prodigy, then Picard. Do I have it right?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Yep.
I win.
Yeah, Lower Decks and Prodigy only off by like 3 years, I think. It's just
really
very, very
close.
short. Yeah, so they could potentially overlap. You never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, if Lower Decks goes on long enough, you never know.
It
On
does.
a long enough timeline.
Yeah. Charlotte, what were you thinking?
Yeah, so okay, the third season not only is Lower Decks kind of standing on its own 2 feet, and it is doing all the self-referential things in the Trek universe, but it's telling its own self-referential stories within the Lower Decks universe now because it has enough to build up on that, which is a really cool thing to see.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And we get it.
Well,
that's a nice thing too.
Yeah.
Well, and season 3, yes, but 30-ish episodes. If this were TNG, we'd be at Elementary My Dear Data or something.
Yeah, right
maybe.
around there. Yeah.
So I mean,
Right.
they're doing so much more with not even shorter episodes, but shorter seasons, and still being it just feels great. You were talking. I will say you were talking about body counts before, and I'll wrap things up because I know we've got other people on deck, but it was awesome to see all of the Calais class ships there. However, as someone of vaguely Nordic descent, I will have to pour one out for the Solvang, who we lost in season 1.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good call.
yeah. I'll tell you my Solvang story when I see you. But yes, yeah.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
But just to see all those ships together, to doing the Lord's work of blowing up a Texas ship.
It's only fair that it's a California class doing that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Tupac's playing in the background in my mind.
Not lost.
Welcome to the wild, wild west.
Yes, nice.
California.
All right, Alan, thank you so much. Great to see you.
One.
By the way, who was it in the chat here that said, it's Paul saying Alan's internet is working great tonight.
Hey.
So,
It is.
yeah, absolutely correct. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's the fact that there's only like 3 of us trying to talk instead of 15, maybe.
True. Yeah.
So,
All right, man. Take care. Have a great night.
yes.
And, we'll see you next time.
All right.
Have
Good
a good
to see you.
one.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, before we move on, something that I did not mention is about next week's live show. Everybody stick around and spread the word because next week, Brad Winters, who is co-producer of Lower Decks, will be our guest. So we're talking about getting that kind of big picture look at the whole thing. You will definitely want to tune in and hear what Brad has to say. So come back next week, 7 o'clock, same time, Monday night, and say hi to Brad. He's very cool. So
Awesome.
And before we have on I think Cherie is our last caller tonight. Wanted to go through some notes with you as well, because of course we take our own notes before we do the show, and sometimes we get to them, sometimes we don't. Little details that I absolutely loved: the M5 computer interface on Buenamigo's desk. That I thought was so great, such a perfect nod to, well, of course, is AI gone bad. Of course, the computer is going to try to destroy everything. He just decided, maybe this guy didn't get it right 100 years ago, but my version will be fine.
Right.
Love that. I also love the idea of calling out Augmenic 9. Captain Freeman says is one of those Brigadoon-like planets.
Right.
Because it's just one of many. I'm sure that the universe is lousy with them.
That's the question I had is, how many of these planets are there just hanging out there, phasing in and out?
I know.
We have a count?
I know. They seem to be a pretty common thing. That might be day 2 at the Academy. You learn that's a thing that you encounter.
You have to memorize the whole list.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I love it. Just another tiny moment that I'm so glad that we watch these over and over and check out the subtitles. The little victory run that Shax does when he's running to the warp core and he's so excited. And there's people in the hallway high-fiving him and everything. My favorite line from that, I love Kayshawn anyway, and they don't overplay him. He sees it pretty sexy. This is like the Arnok on the night of his joining. He was very down with this.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of earned moments, wow.
Yes.
One, it actually happened.
Yes.
And it was amazing. We've been waiting 3 seasons for this, but I also love that it was Boimler, or is it Bold Boimler? This is another question I have. Is it still Bold Boimler, or has he come to some sort of peace with that where it's like, I know when to take risks a little more now, Boimler, and I'm not always going to play it safe, Boimler. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that he stood up on the bridge and it's like stood up to the
Told
captain.
Everybody shut up. Yeah.
That's pretty bold, especially for Boims. But he definitely redeemed himself in that moment. He's one of the bears now. Bears.
That was lovely. And he called it his bridge buddy. I thought it was great. And that they're the bears. It was adorable.
Come on. How can you not love that?
So sweet. All right. Well, let's bring it home with Cherie, our final caller tonight. Right. Cherie, great to see you. Welcome to the show. And what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I love the episode as a whole. Like, I love, gave me all the good feels. I did also love the Temerian, like, Arnok on the night of his joining. That was great. I love all the random Temerian that they throw in. It's so good.
Yes.
I do have a negative though. They never address the plot hole, and I feel like they've just forgotten about it.
Lay it on us.
Okay, do tell.
The first episode, it was when I asked the director about, which you kindly asked him for me. The first episode of Lower Decks, they say that as of 2 weeks ago, Rutherford is cybernetically enhanced. However, these memories are from 10 years ago. And he clearly got the enhancement because Buenamigo was in like a next gen uniform. He clearly got the enhancement 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
how much of Rutherford's memory was erased?
That I wonder, like, is that a fault or a reset or some sort of obfuscation that was intentional?
Right.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I'd love it if they like addressed it later. I just have a bad feeling that maybe it's just a plot hole and it's a mistake. People make mistakes. It's fine.
That's a good point because they did establish something, and I wonder if that was something that got changed later because it fit the story that they wanted to tell. Or in their minds, they just sort of retcon it. Or from the beginning, did they think, oh, no, we'll do this intentionally to throw things off? So
maybe.
I mean, I could see that, they could be like, well, he just thought that he was enhanced 2 weeks ago and they just met him 2 weeks ago. So they would have just believed whatever he told them. But they just kind of never address it. And I'm just also surprised that, I know I can be sometimes an overly literal person. It's probably why I relate to Data so much. But I'm surprised I'm the only one who seems to have noticed. Maybe I've just watched Lower Decks so many times that I've watched the first episode so many times. They said 2 weeks.
No, I think that's great. And mistakes do get by in television.
It's not going to be the first plot hole if it is.
No, but I would also say that for a show like Star Trek, and particularly for a show like Lower Decks, so much is intentional, though. And particularly in animation, it has to be, because you have these bizarre production schedules. Chris Riker threw out a question here, based partly on us trying to parse the age and how much time is in between. Chris says, how old is Rutherford? They all act like early 20-somethings. I had the impression, especially from that episode where we got to meet young Rutherford, that he was probably in his late 20s. So 10 years ago, he might have been 18, 19. Maybe he's a bit of a child prodigy. Could have been 16, 17. But that was my feeling. And that would be okay, that you could still be, a young crewman, a young enlisted, and be pushing 30.
It's not out of the realm of doubt.
Yeah.
So that's the impression I got too. Is I don't know. It's a little murky when you consider Mariner and where all the places she's been, but then she has she's got marks on her record, and there's things in her past that have probably held her back. But yeah, again, maybe this is another question that maybe we should get answered down the line. And regarding Rutherford, I have a theory that I need to share, which is that Rutherford's story is one of the stories, maybe, or the story that's going to span the entire length of the show, the whole duration, from start to finish. We've wondered what has been going on with this guy. And we've got, for as many answers as we have now, we still have questions. So it might not be over. That's my thought.
I will say I loved the ending where he's about his implant. He's like, it's changed everything that I am, and it was involved in terrible crime. Right. But look at all the cool functions.
Yes. I love how the spotlight just sinks in as he says all of the dark, horrible things, but I love it.
Yes. That's sort of part of the programming, right? It's like he can never go too negative. That programming just snaps him back,
It does.
I love that. I want to throw just sort of like a general thought out here. And this kind of dips into the morals, meanings, messages. Maybe we can do that in our last few minutes here of the show.
Yeah.
This episode to me, there's so many things that made it great. And I feel like, again, like I said before, there's a lot of payoff to character moments. There's great payoff to plot moments. I was definitely satisfied with the reveal of Buonamigo being behind Rutherford's implant and what that actually led up to. I'm glad it didn't take 30 episodes to get there. I'm glad that they, they introduced it. And then here at the end of the season, we got the payoff for it. So the timing was perfectly good on that. But I also liked how, we were talking about 22-minute episodes, 22 minutes of content, actual original content in these episodes. So there's a lot of efficiency in that storytelling. And what we got out of it, so we got a direct sequel to what was happening prior in Lower Decks, because we just had the incident with the Breen. We just had all that big reveal with Rutherford. So I thought all of that played out very well. And what I loved is that this played, I mentioned the M5 computer, that this played so nicely with other Trek episodes about AI in general, just the sort of uneasy relationship sometimes that Star Trek has with technology. Even though it's a technologically advanced world that we're in, there are always episodes that come along and say, oh, but not too far. Oh, but make sure you don't let this technology get out of hand. You still need that human element. You still need to act with compassion and with thoughtfulness in whatever you do. I also really like it wasn't necessarily a central theme, but it's unmistakable that there is this conversation in the episode about the validity and the importance of putting humans into space, people into space, as opposed to just leaving it all up to robots with AI minds.
Yes, that is one of my morals and messages.
It is. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
AI can't replace everything. And especially for a second contact mission, AI doesn't know what sort of questions to be asking, like how are things going, taking note of maybe some things that may or may not be good, really reading the room. I'm sorry, AI is good, but probably not that good if it's not even scanning for sentient life. It's only as good as the programmer. So, you definitely want that, at least, if not human, at least organic being touch when you're doing that sort of a thing.
Or I wondered, in a case like that, does the AI just sort of skip past the possibility that there's organic life there? Does the AI sort of get there, and because it was programmed by Buonamigo and because he might be a guy who takes shortcuts, does it sort of look at it and assess, and the intelligence part of it just says like, it's probably nothing important. We'll still build here. We'll still unleash Genesis if we
completely
have to.
Overlooks it. Sure. But that's again proving
completely lifeless. Yeah.
Right. There can't be so much as a microbe or the show's off.
Exactly.
Yeah. You need a attendee to stop everything and check because it is important.
I do like that. Some interesting comments, by the way, that we're getting here. So Dave Takechi says, I'd like to see a 1 hour Lower Decks holiday special, kind of like what Downton Abbey always did.
Well, that'd be fun.
I think that would be really fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The actors would be down for it too.
Absolutely. And then Chris says they could always celebrate Life Day. So they could. They could if they did that. Yeah. Dave says, other Dave says, AI has a lot of potential. Planetary contact, not one of them. And then Jane chimes in with, we all need the human touch. And I totally agree. And that's, I feel like just one of the guiding principles of Star Trek for sure.
Yeah, I mean, AI can do a lot of cool things. Like, I think you could have a Texas class ship be really good for something like a routine supply drop off. You don't necessarily need humans to be doing an automated task like that. Or how about in battle? Obviously, these ships are really good in battle and you're not losing lives. You're losing resources and equipment.
True, though I think the problem is that an AI ship can't negotiate itself out of battle.
That's a very good point.
That's the key part. That's the Star Trek element that would be missing from that.
So what we need are the Nintendo pilots who are controlling them but stepping in when it's time to do the negotiations. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. By the way, BC saying Star Trek never did Christmas episodes is very true, but we do know that, Kirk likes to hit those Christmas parties. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, is Star Trek Generations a Christmas movie, in your opinion?
Ooh, it's such a good scene. It's such a good Christmas scene.
And it came out around holiday time.
Yeah, like late November. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, maybe it
Strange
is.
New World mentioned Christmas as well. Law said that the ship was like Christmas when everyone was gone.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sure did. Yeah, but no talks of Christmas party in the science lab getting freaky. No, nothing like that. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right. Well, as we come up toward the end of the show, so I got a couple minutes left. Cherie, any other thoughts, comments? Yeah.
I did want to say I almost missed the end credit scene for the last episode because I don't really expect Lower Decks to have an end credit scene, so I don't really watch it. Also, the streaming network doesn't really encourage you to watch an end credit scene.
Right.
It goes to a tiny little box.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
I was watching a fan review and they mentioned it and I was like, oh, I went back and watched it. Are you guys excited for the return of Badgie?
Yes.
Badgie is wonderful. It's such a twisted, brilliant idea. So, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking there wasn't enough Badgie this season and then look at what happened.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's going to get together with like Peanut Hamper and Agabus and they're going to form an AI
it could happen, right? Do you suppose Badgie might rescue Peanut Hamper and we have this massive super intelligent computer like take over somewhere? I mean, this could get dangerous really fast.
It's one of the interesting things about doing a show like this. And I know that there's so much of it that Mike has already thought through, but then, you get the first season out there. When people are watching it, they're already producing season 2, so they can't just turn on a dime and do something else. But now that a couple of seasons been out there, now that we're at the end of season 3, surely they must go back and go, ooh, you know what? People really love how twisted Badgie is. We need to get that guy back in here somehow. That might be a thing.
Maybe.
Since we're talking about holidays, and this came up a little bit in here in the chat. By the way, Heather mentioning that Ken watches Wrath of Khan at Christmas. Yes, that is his Christmas movie. Let's see. Paul says Christmas only happened in the Nexus. However, I have just watched an episode of Voyager where there is a Christmas tree. So, somebody had it in mind at some point. Jane says, wasn't there something about turkey dinner on TOS? And yes, that was in Charlie X, but it was the meatloafs And then the chef calls up to Kirk and says, somebody's turned them into actual turkeys. So, yeah, that was the Thanksgiving episode of Star Trek, the original series. So this is great. And by the way, as we sign off, Jane saying the Mission Log Live chat is filled with the most interesting comments and wonderfully smart and funny people. Glad I could stay awake. Thank you for saying that. And thank you to all the people in the chat who are definitely smart and making us sound good. So, because we need that. We need all the
definitely.
Help we can get. Yeah. So Jane, thank you very much. All the callers, and Cherie, thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Live long and prosper yourself. Take care. Have a good one. Shar, any last comments or thoughts or wrap up before we say goodnight?
Man, I know we're out of time, but we didn't even get a chance really to talk about Mariner and how much she has grown up over the course of this season, I think.
Right. It took 3 seasons, but that ending, it felt heartfelt. It felt real.
Man. Like, really, she is so much more emotionally intelligent than she was when we met her in season 1. She is much more forgiving and understanding of like what's going on. What are people doing and why are they doing it? But then she also knows now that the grass isn't necessarily greener on the civilian side and has come back refocused and ready to go to work. She knows now where she belongs. And I think we're going to see a very different Mariner going forward. I'm very excited about that.
I think you're not wrong. Well, it was a very cool way to end the season. And I look forward to our chats, our upcoming chats. And I look forward to our next Mission Log Live, where we'll have Brad Winters. So make sure you come around for that. And with that, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production on Mission Log and Mission Log Live by the incalculable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry Podcast. If you'd like to support us directly, do so at patreon.com/missionlog. That's also how you can join the Mission Log Discord. Thank you, Charlene Schmidt, for co-hosting with me this week. And
thank you, John Champion.
This is it. This is our finale of Lower Decks, except for our interview next week. But that's okay. We can find... Yeah, what?
There's only one more thing to do to sign off.
What's that?
Lower decks. And
make sure you follow us at youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment and podcast.roddenberry.com.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.